Hey, and welcome back to our program. If you've been following the news recently, you've heard about this organization, national organization called FICA, FIFA. This is the governing organization for the World Cup soccer. Now, we're not a big soccer fan group here in the United States. Soccer is gaining actually in popularity, but we don't get into it like football. But around the rest of the world, soccer is a big deal. And where the soccer games are played in terms of the World Cup, the finals of all these countries, obviously is of huge interest. It brings a lot of economic development to the area. And so it's very important they bid, just like picking the Olympic Games. It's big bucks coming in to the country where the World Cup is played. People from all over the world come in to see the World Cup, bringing dollars into the area. And generally, soccer doesn't require a lot of construction like the Olympic Games. You have to build all these new facilities. Well, if you're going to bid on the World Cup, you've got a world-class soccer team anyway. You probably have a big 100,000 stadium that can be played in. So there's not that much investment the country has to make. So getting World Cup soccer is a big deal. Well, the Justice Department here in the United States has had a huge investigation and demanding indictments and trying to get indictments of some of the people who are paying some bribes. Apparently, there's some bribes being paid to the officials who pick the country where the World Cup championships will take place. And so they pay these bribes, and it's around the rest of the world. We ought to crack down. There should not be bribes. It's wrong. I agree with all that. But according to the Justice Department, they come out, this Attorney General Loretta Lynch comes out every week with some big press release about how she's cracking down on the scandals in soccer. What is hypocrisy, quite frankly, is that they have brushed over a much bigger scandal that has affected millions and millions more people. And I'm talking about this, all this Wall Street shenanigans where all these people rip you and I off to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, we're talking about people who were crushed financially, lost their homes. This affected people all over the country. And so there's been a number of these scandals that she's turned her back on, fined some of these companies on Wall Street and other banks some money. But finding the company doesn't hurt anything. How does finding the company makes any difference? If you find a big Wall Street broker, let's say $100 million, they don't pay for it. Their stockholders who've invested in that company have to suck it up. They don't get as much as return. Their stock isn't worth as much. Those who contrive this illegal operation to make all this money get their big bonuses, go right down the line, nothing happens to them at all. The most recent example of this is this Swiss bank that operates all over the United States, a huge Swiss bank, and it is it's HSBC is what it's called. Now, it's a big operation. Their income each year is about $70 billion. That's just the income, not what the company is worth, $70 billion. So they get involved in a scheme to where they're laundering for some of the drug cartels that are killing people, assassinating people, bringing all these drugs in the United States. They go ahead and investigate this huge Swiss bank. And what they do is they end up fining them. Instead of bringing any prosecutions whatsoever, they fine them, I believe, $800 million, if I remember correctly. Maybe it's right at $1 billion. Now, that sounds like a lot of money. But when you're this big, it's just a drop in the bucket. It's like you're making $40,000 a year. You do something wrong, so they fine you $1,000. That would be a comparison. You get fined $1,000 for criminally breaking the law, and you walk away with a $1,000 fine. Can you compare? That's the very same thing. So this Swiss bank group that laundered millions and millions of dollars of illegal drug cartel money, a lot of the drugs heading the United States, murders involved with these folks, they were the financial backup for this group. They get a fine and walk away with no indictments, no major crackdown at all except for this fine, which again, the company writes off their income tax, their policyholders pay it, nobody gets tagged, no one suffers. They're too big to fail. You remember you hear that so much? We're too big to fail. And it's just so ironic that the Justice Department would be doing this under the Obama administration. You would think that the Republicans are the party of big businesses protecting Wall Street. That's not the truth at all. It's the Democrats now. It's the Democrats Lynch was the U.S. attorney up in the Brooklyn Bronx area in New York, and there were a number of cases like this to where she only levied fines and didn't really crack down on those who perpetrated these massive, massive frauds that caused you and me billions and billions of dollars out of the taxpayers, and then people that lost everything because of the ripoffs in terms of the money. Because are you too big to fail? I'm not too big to fail. I've had business interests where I've tried to make it work, but I'm not too big to fail. You're not too big. But the Justice Department protects and almost encourages those. Look, if there's no incentive, nothing's going to happen to you outside of paying a fine that you don't even pay. Why not cross the line and try to go ahead and make your huge profit at the expense of the taxpayers like you and me? So the Justice Department, under this Loretta Lynch, has done a terrible job of policing white-collar crime, letting Wall Street get away with so much and costing you and hurting so many individuals. Yet when it comes to world-class soccer, oh, let's crack down on the soccer players. Let's get on those folks in Switzerland. And, you know, look, I don't give a damn about soccer and I like to watch the sport. But if there's some fraud going in with all these big shots, that's a problem over in Switzerland and someplace else in the world. That's not our problem. Deal with the real problems that have dramatically hurt individuals, and our country would be a heck of a lot better off. And I'll be right back.